Hello everybody, welcome back to the Crazy Mayday channel. Just to give you guys a quick little story, it's been a little bit, weather hasn't been the greatest for us to be out here videoing. Kind of got blistering cold. I'm sure a lot of areas has experienced their first snowfall. Where we left off on the last video, I'm just catching everybody up. It's like I said, it's been a minute. We had got finished up with that Wave Runner project for my friend. We dropped that off. He's super stoked about it. Everything, came out really nice. He's going to be probably putting that back up on the Facebook Marketplace in early spring to see if, he can get any bites on it. But that project turned out really well. We are about, I guess, 5-6 days maybe from Christmas as this video is recording today. So I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Just, whenever this comes out, we might put it out and it'll already be after New Year's. But anyway, where I left you guys off was I told you we had some other smaller projects, and I kind of want to just start this section of the video off with our projects. The person that had the Wave Runner also had a couple of smaller items that he wanted me to get tuned up, worked on. We're going to do a little engine swap on one of them. He gave me a freebie that was a surprise to me, unit. So I just want to take this video and we're going to go through each one of these. Just, it's not going to be, a total breakdown and rebuild of each one. We're just going to basically get them running, clean them up, and then, maybe even put these on the Facebook Marketplace to make a couple of bucks. So I'm just gonna go into each one of these. The two items that I did purchase for myself, I bought these, I'm just gonna tell you, they're walk behind blowers. I bought them sight unseen. Basically, I just saw the listing on the internet. They were basically listed as non-runners, right? So condition unknown, kind of makes it a little sketchy of a buy. And you kind of gotta watch in auction sites. Some of these prices just go just crazy, ridiculous money. And then by the time you go there, pick them up, the extra fees, and then you have to get them running and going, you might have just, bit off more than you could chew. So let's spin the camera around. I'm going to show you the units that we have to work on here, and I'll just talk briefly about them, before we actually get started. And then you'll see in the video, I'll just start to bring one in at a time, and we'll just try to work on these. Clean them up, run them, and then basically put a finish tag on them, and we'll just keep on moving through the video. So that's what this video is kind of going to be about a little bit. Will it run, how it runs, and a little maintenance, towards the end to get them back up. Oh, and we're doing the engine swap. So I have a brand new, beautiful commercial Honda engine in the box. So we're going to do an engine swap on one of these. So let me spin you around and we'll talk a little bit about each one of these and we'll keep going. Our first one here is what we're going to be working on is a DeWalt power washer. This is a 3750 PSI power washer. It's using a 13 horsepower commercial series Honda engine. I'm going to spin the camera around. This is what the first one we're going to be working on. All right, so I'm just going to give you like a little 360 walk around here so you can kind of see what I'm starting with. All right, so, this is a little rough. Some people are harder on their machines and equipment than others. The tank's pretty dented in, so, that's kind of a big bruise there. If you look down here, sorry, I don't want to shadow the thing, but it's got a lot of oil residue. The pump kind of has a little bit of leakage going on, coming down and around. So you need to check your pump oil as well, because you don't want to run this thing dry. It'll smoke the pump, and then you'll be pretty much, just basically having an engine that won't make any water pressure. So that's our first project. He did give me the hose and the wand. So that's our first one. I do not know if this runs at all. I have not cranked it up. The fuel on these Honda engines is always good. Just FYI for everybody. Sorry about the background noise. To keep your fuel off when you're not using it. These carburetors, when they're bouncing around, the float inside there has a tendency to kind of get stuck, and then what will happen is your fuel tank will keep pushing fuel down to the carburetor, and it'll flood out the crankcase of the engine. So I'm just going to give this a quick pull to see if it actually even turn over. All right, so it does turn over. The recoil kind of doesn't go back, so that's not too promising. On a lot of these things, especially nowadays, if you don't winterize your power washer, you will have blown out pumps, and that's going to basically be either your 50-50 cutoff. You know what I mean? A pump could cost just as much as the whole power washer did brand new, which is kind of crazy, but especially on these bigger models. So you kind of don't want to shoot yourself in the foot on that. And on another end of that, part of the whole aspect is some people do forget to winterize their stuff. And if you're ever looking for a good commercial engine, right? These engines are not cheap. If you just buy the bare bone engine with nothing else, and you go on the Facebook Marketplace, you can find really good deals on used equipment, right? So if you need an engine, it might be worthwhile buying a power washer, a blower, something with the right size engine or comparable to what you need horsepower wise, and you can get it at a third of the cost. You know, you might have to do a little bit of work of unbolting the pump and everything off, but at least you'll have a good engine for a third of the cost. If you're a little handy, you know what I mean? It all depends. So that's going to be that one for now. That's our first overview of that unit that we're going to try to go through and get revived. The next one we're going to jump to is another power washer. So this one belongs to the gentleman that had the Wave Runner. He keeps his stuff very nice. Do a quick little walk around. He gave me the hose. This is a little bit smaller of a unit. It's only got the 5.5 horsepower Honda. Still very good engine. As you can see, the fuel was left on, so sometimes, you know, you just forget. But it's just good practice for, you know, keeping the engine free of all that fuel. And then these are a little bit older, but they're rocking a very good, what they call the cat pump. Basically, if you can see that, it says the pump with 9 lives. So again, this has oil in it. His oil level is, I'll bring you down so you can kind of really zoom in on that. So his level is right on the money, you know, so his stuff is taken care of. He's not a user and abuser. So this one, again, I don't know the last time it ran, but if I had to take a guess, we're probably looking at maybe just a carburetor clean on this one to revive it. You know what I mean? That's the whole problem with a lot of these smaller items. You know what I mean? They just sit. This gas that we have nowadays is just, it's terrible for these smaller engines, and it just gets, the carburetor gums up, and people get frustrated, throw these things out at the curb because they're just like, I'm done with gasoline and I'm just going to use, you know, electric, which is fine. You know what I mean? It's all good, whatever your preference is. So that one's not too bad. Again, I have the wand for this. He gave me the hose so we can try it once we get it going again. Like I said, most of these things are going to be basically oil change, fuel system cleaned out, check the air filter, make sure the pump, the pressurized, you know, gearbox pump that makes your water pressure, just make sure that that oil is good. If we have to change it, we'll change it. And then just fire it up, run it for a few minutes, make sure everything's working and everything's all good. You know, we'll probably pump a little air in the tires, keep them nice. So this one, you know, probably not too much work on this one. It'll be a nice, easy, quick, smooth overhaul, repair, you know, maintenance. Jumping to the next one here. So this is another power washer. This one's rated at 3,300 PSI. It's running a little Subaru engine, so not a Honda. So this is the one, also rocking a cat pump, as you can see there. This one is, it says that it's a electronic fuel injection, which is kind of crazy on a smaller engine like this. So the backstory on this guy, it's a rigid. I'm just gonna go around here. It's got a little Subaru engine on there, fuel injection. So keep walking around here. Again, it's got the sticker, doesn't want no E85 ethanol gas. That's what kind of kills a lot of these things. No oil leaking, you know what I mean? It's got that nice industrial cat pump on there. Just your basic, you know, setup. Again, oil levels pretty much right on the money. So more or less, we just change the oil, put fresh in there, and get it good to go for another a couple of years. So anyway, this is the model that the gentleman was telling me about. He had said that he was using it, and then I don't know, all of a sudden it just kind of like clunked out, wouldn't crank back up, and he kind of just rolled it back in the old shed and said, screw it. You know what I mean? He had a couple other ones, so I guess he finished this project with another one. But anyway, this is the candidate that we're going to put a brand new Honda engine on. Pretty much like the same thing as what we have on that unit over there. We're going to motor swap this one and pop a nice brandy new Honda engine on this. I have that in the garage already, so that should be a real nice, easy peasy, hopefully, swap out. So that'll make some good content. The gentleman said I could keep this engine. I'll probably hang on to it, and maybe I'll repurpose it for something else I have, you know, another project for. He said, you know, it's all yours, man. You know what I mean? Keep it, sell it, whatever. So we're gonna do this one up good. This one will be real nice as well. Again, we'll clean these things up, air up the tires, and just make them look beautiful again. So that's gonna be that one. Our next over here, this is the little guy. I currently already have a power washer, so I'm not like in dire need of a power washer. But this is a little smaller, less, I want to say, robust. This is going to be more of your homeowner grade power washer. Will do everything you need, you know, for just getting some of the light cleaning done around the house or the cars or whatever. So this one's just a normal little 6 horsepower Briggs & Stratton power washer. Let's see, what's our PSI? 2,000. So that's what this one can put out, 2,000 on the pump that it's set up with. So we'll do a little walk around here. Overall clean, you know what I mean? The tires are airless, so you don't have to worry about none of that. You know, so these things did sit out in basically a greenhouse, so they weren't like in a climate controlled area. So we just have to hope for the best when it comes to the last time they were put away. You know what I mean? We don't want to hopefully run into any pump issues. Like I said, if the pump cracks, you're kind of at the point where you either toss it to the curb, let the scrap man grab it, or if it's in decent enough shape or new enough shape that it might be worth, like I said, either buying on another used Facebook Marketplace power washer. Sometimes the motors blow up. Sometimes the power washer pump portion of it takes a crap. You can, if you're handy, you can do some swapping over and get another couple more years out of your unit. So let's just see if this thing will pull over. I'll put my foot up against here. Ooh. Sorry about that. I just whacked you guys with the camera. Let me get resituated here. All right, so yeah, that one pulls over. So that one's nice. So pretty much that's going to be that one. I think same thing. We're going to just kind of knock out a little bit of carburetor clean, change the oil, and then throw a little gas in it and see what happens. You know what I mean? So we're going to have that one pretty much just, I guess, turned around, and then I'll just probably put it up super cheap. You know what I mean? I don't really need one. This is just a little bonus that he threw me, so I appreciate that. Okay, so now moving on to the two items that I bought at the auction, probably about a little bit before Thanksgiving. Yeah, because I had these when we were working on the Wave Runner project, and just thought, you know what I mean, for as cheap as I can maybe hopefully get these things, they'd be worth it. So again, they were both listed as non-runners. So I took a gamble. I won the bid. Did have to drive, about an hour and a half north of where I live to get them, and then another hour and a half back home. But what we got here are two blowers. I want to basically, my game plan on these are, I don't have a big yard, so I don't really need these, nor do I have a lot of trees and leaves. So I want to basically pass these on to someone else that could use them for a decent price. I just want to make them right. I'm going to clean them up, make them look good. And then someone else that, maybe has a landscaping business or homeowner with a bigger piece of property that has a lot of leaves to deal with, they could utilize this. So let's bump the camera around. Okay, so what we got here, a little wonder. This is a 8 horsepower style unit. I'll walk you around here. So the tires are all holding air. It's an older Briggs & Stratton. It's called the Industrial Plus, 8 horsepower. Overall, just looks older. You know what I mean? It ain't terrible. I'm planning on replacing this cable because it's messed up. So I'm waiting on that to come in. I did get a new hand grip, so we're going to do that. I got some new rattle can paint, so we're going to try to paint this thing up, clean it up. Muffler's a little blown out there, but I think it'll still go. And just a new spark plug, you know what I mean? We're going to probably do that on a lot of these other units too, new spark plug. So this is just some of the lingo of what the auction house puts on there. The NR means non-running. I did put a little bit of, so there was no gas in here, right? It was empty thing. It actually had a little bit of gas, but the other one didn't have gas. That's what I'm sorry. But I did pull it over. It did pull over, so that was a blessing in disguise, because as you know, if you get this as a non-runner, the guy at the auction yard, he ain't basically gonna, say, if the motor was locked up, if the rod was hanging out of it, you know what I mean? He's just gonna basically run. He's gonna try to start it. If it doesn't start, that's it. He'll just put non-running. So, he don't waste too much time on these things. So that was a a good sign when I first picked it up, that I got it to pull over and it was smooth and it didn't bind up. So that kind of gave me a little hope. So the next thing I did real quick off camera was, when I first got these home, because I just wanted to make sure it had the potential to run, and I sprayed down in here, into the spark plug hole, a little bit of the old devil's nectar is what I like to call it. The boys up north, for all the guys in the colder areas of the United States and northern Canada, the lingo is, I think, a little bit of the nose candy. They like to spray that into your big diesel tractors and farm equipment that's just old and needs a little bit of help. They spray a little nose candy in there to help get them to crank up on them colder winter days. So I did spray a little bit of the old 2+2 down in there, basically. starting fluid, and it did crank up. It took like 2 or 3 pulls, but it finally did crank up. So that was a win in my part. So again, we're going to do, in this video series, we're going to do a refresh and a rebuild on that. I want to just clean that up, make it look beautiful. Moving on to the last item over here in the shade. So this one was the better of the 2 blowers that I just bought. This is, they call the little, it's basically a giant vac, so a little bit better shape overall, probably a little newer. Same thing, it's rocking a Briggs & Stratton engine. Let me just give you a little walk around here. All right, so again, it's clean. There's no oil coming out of it anywhere. Again, it's an 8 horsepower. So nice and clean. That's what you like to see. These things aren't tremendous counterweights, so it's nice and easy for even a homeowner. You know what I mean? It's not a ginormous like V-twin engine that, you know, blows the trees down. This is something nice that a homeowner can grab and do a little bit of yard cleanup. So this one, same thing, kind of threw me for a loop, because when I just checked it, again, it was a non-runner. You can see NR on there. This one threw me for a loop because when I checked it, down in the fuel tank, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of hard to see. It's dark down in there. But there's leaves down in there, and the tank's pretty rusty. So I kind of was like, oh man. But again, I popped the air cleaner off, shot a little bit of that devil's nectar down the old carburetor, and this thing, it lit right up. So again, before I did anything, I pulled on this thing. It had the same smooth rotational turning like the other unit over there. So it kind of gave me a little bit of relief to know that, hey, all right, we do have something that will potentially run, and that's what I was hoping for. So I think what we're going to do is just kind of just go through all these things. Just like I said, we'll keep the video moving, and we'll just go through one at a time. I'm going to start on this guy right here. Sorry, the camera's moving all around on me. We're going to start on this one right here, and we'll just go through the motions here. If we hit it like a dead spot, we'll just either cut our losses and, you know what I mean, give it back to the owner. The guy who did drop this off to me basically said, if we get it running, let's just split the profit, you know, whatever, half and half. So if I tell him, all right, it may be not worth it, he's just like, you know what, you keep it. Do with whatever you want with it. So like I said, sometimes you can get these things at yard sales on the curb because someone just gave up on it, was ready to, you know, throw the sledgehammer at it. You can get these for a good deal. So if you're handy enough and you can do a little bit of maintenance work, hell, watch these YouTube videos, watch other people do them, you know what I mean, learn from them to work on your own stuff, turn a couple of bucks on a weekend, you know what I mean. It's good little, you know, DIY thing to do with your kids. Show them a little bit of mechanics, you know what I mean? This kind of stuff is going to the wayside. Everything is basically all electric. So it's a good little father, son, daughter, grandfather, you know, grandkids building, you know, memory together kind of thing, you know what I mean? So let's get on to this one. We're going to go through it. I'm going to check the oil and all that good stuff. So stay tuned, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. Like I said, we'll just keep the video moving, and I'll just keep going through each one of these now that I kind of gave you guys a little round robin of exactly what we had to work with, and we'll just see if we can make them go. You know what I mean? Right now it's winter time, so it's definitely a little colder, so I might have to, you know, take a break in between videos to work on these things as life is, and temperature and weather and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody watching the Crazy Mayday channel. thank you so much. We're starting to get some views. I love that. Like I said in a couple other videos, the channel's growing. It takes time, you know what I mean? It's all good. I have fun doing these things. I get, to help other people out, so that's a good thing. I make a couple of bucks, not on YouTube, but, after the video ends, I collect a little bit of dollars and cents from people that I help out with their projects that they just given up on or just don't have interest or any kind of knowledge into making them go again. So stay tuned with me and we'll keep this video moving. Thank you guys. All right guys, we're back. I'm starting out with that first one we got here. This is a non-runner. This was dropped off to me. So like I was talking about earlier, you don't want to waste, when you get like a project like this, like if it's in really rough shape or whatever, the first thing is basically figure out what's going to be really needed before you get like this kind of dirty and grungy and all that stuff. But before you get like power washing this thing down, cleaning it, making it look pretty, let's make sure it's actually going to run, right? So Hondas are pretty good. Like they're reliable, especially the commercial series like this. They can take a beating and keep going. They do have low oil cutoffs. So sometimes those are bypassed. You want to just double check that your low oil level sensor is plugged in. You want to obviously make sure you have enough oil in the motor. You know what I mean? So let's come over here because we do have a little bit of oil build up on the outside. My wires are all connected. So let's check our oil. Oil is a little bit low, but it's halfway on the stick, so that's somewhat good. Then 99% of the time is going to be that our carburetor's just clogged up. You know what I mean? The gas has gotten stale, so that's not a 10 millimeter. Let me get an 11. Hang on with me here.
Where are you at?
Got distracted. It is a number 11. Let's pop this off and see what kind of condition this air filter is in. Normally the equipment that it is kind of dictates how good or bad some of these air cleaners are. This thing is mostly using water, so you're not really creating a lot of dust. Air filter just looks like it's got cobwebs on it, so that tells me this thing hasn't run in a long time. But it's still good. Like it's still, the material itself is not all breaking down. Sometimes you touch this and the stuff just turns into dust. So the fuel doesn't smell super old. But I can see it's got water in it, so that's no good. A lot of times the water is either put in, by the user, unknown. You know what I mean? It could be in his gas tank that he is using, and then this is not doing good here. We got some threads that are a little tight. So like I was saying, sometimes the end user is accidentally pouring it in when he is filling it. You know what I mean? Power washing water can be, done accidentally. But other than that, if this unit sits outside and the gas tank is not full, there's area in here, space basically for this thing to condensate, right? This is a black tank, so if it's sitting out in the sun during the day, it's going to heat up, and then at night it's going to cool down. well, there goes your condensation problem. Then it's going to basically settle to the bottom of the tank. That's where the fuel goes in through the little screen. It's going to draw it straight in, then you're going to have problems. So just keep your unit either topped off with fuel when you're done with it, you know what I mean? Top it off with fuel if it's going to sit outside. Garages are always, or sheds are always, you know, obviously the better place to keep your power equipment. Let me work on getting this off. I got to get a pair of pliers. Let's get that. Hang on a minute. All right, we found our pliers. And we can work this off. And that worked out pretty good. So now that we got that undone, let's keep that in there. All right, lift our air filter up. I always like to check this for like flatness. Sometimes people kind of crush these down a little bit, or they're replacing them and they put a little too much force, you know what I mean? And this thing's got an O-ring under here that helps it seal, and that becomes all deformed. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but it's kind of like got a weird lip on it. Anyway, there's a little bit of junk down in there, so that's not good. All right, so the other day when we were cranking this up, or trying to crank it up, I noticed that the recoil wasn't going back in. So that could be just, you know, being dry over time. The lubrication and the recoil, you know, gets a little tight. I'm going to switch back to our 10. What also is nice about these Honda Commercial Series, unlike some other engine manufacturers like a Briggs & Stratton, I know a lot of times they like to do this. Honda gives you bolts to take your recoil off, right? So if you ever break a rope, you don't have to worry about drilling out rivets. Like, it's stupid. Like, I mean, this thing's gonna go bad. You know what I mean? Like, it makes it that much harder for the normal person to find the right rivet, get a rivet gun, drill them out, change the damn rope, and then have to re-rivet it back on. Just make it a bolt-on thing, you know? Like, sometimes it just gets frustrating. So I looked up just on Amazon real quick how much a fuel tank was going to be, and they're roughly like 40 bucks for the same color one that this has on it. So let's see, I'm gonna get this out. There we go. Okay, so 40 bucks for a fuel tank. Ours has got a hellacious dent in it. I don't know if this thing was knocked over or something ran into it, but whatever happened, it definitely took a blow. So that's 40 bucks now without doing anything else that you're going to be investing into this machine. So right now it's still functioning the way it needs to. It's not leaking, so we're okay. But that's just something to tally up in your overall build sheet, or, you know, repair cost. Or if you're working on this for somebody, you know, sometimes they don't care about the dented gas tank. They just want it to function. Well, I mean, that dent is going to definitely take away some fuel capacity. So, I mean, if you don't mind that little bit of loss, I guess whatever. But, yeah, it just makes it look bad too. All right, so now we're just going to work this a little bit back and forth, and you can already see how it's coming back like it's supposed to. So there's just a big cool spring in here. You don't really want to take that bolt out, because when you do, definitely keep some safety glasses on. This thing will shoot out, and sometimes it'll get you. So that's feeling pretty good. Just going to give it a little bit more. Okay, so that's good. Let me put this, a little bit of extra lube. Don't want it dripping out everywhere. Let's pump this baby back up in there. All right, let's see, there we go. Takes a little bit of finagling, but it goes in there. Put our bolts back in. Right, up. I'm going to work on taking the carburetor apart right now, because we know just by looking in the fuel tank that we have some old gas. Again, this machine only gets used periodically, and the old fuel basically just from lack of use basically just causes issues. Oh wait, we got one more over here. I forgot. Yep, right up here. Okay, just want to check our throttle. Yeah, that's good, nice and snug. All right, so now we can work our little cover off of here. Set that aside. Let's just check the operation of that. Okay, so our chokes works. Basically that works. Fuel valve works. It's going to be in the closed position. You know what I mean? It's indicated on your cover, on and off. All right, so we got our fuel off. I just want to drain this bowl to see what we have in the carburetor bowl. I'm going to use a 10 millimeter short well for that. We're not going to do the drain, we're just going to do the whole bowl removal. A lot of times when you do this, especially on older things, a lot of times now it's cheaper to buy those, I guess, cheap Amazon carburetors. It's worth a shot. If you want to, take apart and redo a OEM carburetor, you can, you know what I mean? They do make the seals and the gaskets and little O-rings and stuff like that. That's what mostly happens. The O-rings just get dried out, the diaphragms get dried out, the gasoline, you know what I mean, that gets put in there, that ethanol just eats them up. So then when you go to try to do a quick little clean on this thing and rebuild it, a lot of times the bowl will leak because the O-ring's all swelled up and it's not, conforming to the nice, metal like it used to, especially after you disturb it. All right, so this I can already feel is kind of gummed up. Let me see, I just don't want to spill a lot of fuel. I want to try to collect it. Make sure you guys wear gloves doing this. It's just, it's not good. It's fuel and getting into your skin. We already have enough crap that causes cancer to us all. Screwing around with this crap doesn't help. All right, so wow, I'm pretty surprised. That carburetor bowl's spotless. All right, so we're clean, and this is the first time I've taken it off. So that looks pretty good. All right, so I think what our hang up was our little small rubber gasket that's on there. So let's put this back in. We'll orient this. Yeah, we'll orient this to what you call it. All right, we'll orient that in a way that makes it easy to drain if we have to. All right, so that's nice and snug now. Okay, so I think what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to pull the fuel line off. Let's close that, get that out of our way. And then, if possible, I want to clean or get rid of the old fuel that's in here. So let's pop this line off. Anything else of this lovely business? Everything out? Right, pop that on your side. Okay. So you guys can kind of see that fuel is not looking too hot. It's very cloudy. Almost all the way drained. Okay. Get a container and we'll put that in there. Okay, so let's empty this crap in here so we can dispose of it properly. Sorry for the wind. I would be working in the garage here with my heat on, but with all this gas and the fumes, it wouldn't be good. All right, pop this baby back off. Let it continue to drain. Just gonna spray some of this linkage up. So once we get this running, I guess if it cranks up and runs, which, you know, most of this stuff will. You just do a little carburetor clean, fresh gas. Like I said in the beginning, make sure the oil is up to snuff. Once we get it running, then we can evaluate, you know, is the pump okay now? You know what I mean? It's winter time right now, so the ideal conditions aren't there for us. You know, hooking a garden hose up, a lot of, you know, places are gonna be winterized. Your outside hose bips should be winterized unless you have frost free, but we'll have to kind of make sure that if we do run it, we have to get all the water out so we don't freeze the pump. So thank goodness there wasn't like a full tank of fuel in here, being old and stale. We don't have much to drain off here. And then what I'll do is, just to get the residual stuff out, is I'll take like a couple paper towels and I'll just stuff them down into the tank, running like a long screwdriver around in there just to kind of sop up any water that might be in there, or just residue. Is finished draining this back into our collection bin. All right, set that down. Okay. Now what I would like to do, sometimes I can pop this little lever off for now. What I'd like to do is check this on and off valve, basically our fuel on and off valve. Sometimes these have a sediment bowl, sometimes they don't. This one doesn't have a sediment bowl. It's like a pre-sediment bowl before it goes into the carburetor. So this one's just an on and off valve. It's just going to allow fuel to flow or not flow. So I just want to make sure that that's actually letting fuel in, because I know I did have our fuel on the other day and our bowl was completely dry. So I think there might be a restriction in there. I just want to check that before, you know, we throw new fresh fuel in here. So I just want to clean that out if there's any gunk buildup, and then we can know for sure that when we turn the valve on, our fresh gas is going to make it right to the carburetor. So let me get a Phillips and we'll take that off. Just want to clean some of this crap up that's on there. Okay. So let's get this off. All right. Set them down. Make sure you don't lose anything. Okay. That. We got a little friction washer here. And yeah, so that kind of proves my point here. So our little inlet area, and I'll bring you guys in so you can see this, it's pretty gunked up. So in a way, that kind of works in our favor. It saves the carburetor from getting all the junk, you know, prior, you know what I mean? So like this is catching all the crap first before it actually let it go into here. So let's let me bring you in so you guys can see this, and then that way you can see what I'm talking about. So spin you around, and if you look right there, that's all the crap that accumulates in when it first comes in to the pre-bowl, basically, or it's like the on and off valve. So those four little, sorry, I'm trying to let it focus, there you go. The four little, or three little holes should be nice and clear. And they got that gooey, like gel substance blocking it all up. So that's what we need to get cleaned out. So we're going to just clean this out. Oh yeah, lots of caca. So, sorry, getting it to focus. This port right here, this hole is going directly into the carburetor. This tube goes in and feeds this port right here. These are just two holding tabs when that rubber O-ring goes inside here. So this port is totally plugged up. You can kind of see down in there that that's not letting any fuel in. So we need to get that, basically that tube cleaned out. And that's what I'm going to work on. You know, you could just, say, all right, I'm going to just put a new carb on here, be one and done with it. And that would be good. But I mean, at any effort, even if you're going to put a carburetor on it, you kind of want to make sure that this thing's not going to smoke. We don't know how many hours are really on this engine. You can kind of look. Sometimes there's a decal where I'll tell you the year that it was made. So let's see. Yeah, I can kind of see something here. So this is showing 2002. So yes, it's a Honda. They are very good and reliable. But just kind of keep that in your whole grand scheme of how much is it worth, how much is it going to be to fix it up, my time, parts, and what's the ultimate use for this? Is it a real need? Are we flipping it to sell it to make money? What did we buy it for? So that's why I try to go in and just do as little as possible. We get it to run. Okay, good, done, smooth. You could shot some little bit of 2+2 in here and just to see if it would fire off. But we want to make sure that, that it's not going to be a smoke, machine. And, how well has it been taken care of all those years? So it's just a calculation. So doing a little bit of carburetor work. We're not spending any money except a little bit of fluids here with the brake clean and a little bit of time. So once we figure out our baseline, then we can start throwing the parts cannon at it. You know what I mean? So let's just get in here and try to get that opened up. Let's see if I can get a little bit of wire to kind of go down inside the hole here. And then maybe that'll help us. All right, so I just got some scrap electrical wire. The gauge is pretty good to the size of the intake tube. So I'm just gonna cut me off a little piece. And then what I'm gonna do is strip this back. Let's see, probably a good amount here, so that way just the copper part, not the insulation on the wire, is going to be able to go into the hole. Sorry about this. There we go. Sometimes it's the little noises you can't stand. Okay, I'm gonna just keep twisting this so it stays in a nice tight spiral before we pull it all the way off. Okay. So I'm just gonna try to work this down in there and kind of like act as like a little wire brush. Just gonna keep twisting it a little bit while I work it down in there. In and out. So I got here a little stainless steel mechanics wire. Just gonna take a little bit out here. I'll nip off what I need. A little piece like that. Put this back, put the little rubber booty back over it so we don't poke ourselves. Stuff's fairly cheap. I don't even remember where I bought it. I mean, you can use a little bit or a lot of it, you know what I mean, whatever you need. One little thing goes a long way. So we're just gonna work this in. And I'm just gonna try to twirl it in there to help break up any of that crust that's blocking us up. Just right there. Going to go. And looking out. You know, down one side. See the car right. And the other way, same thing. Just roll around. Like this thing, sharp 90. Like it's gonna help. Out one way. There you go. Just roll it up. I didn't go back in this one. Oh, handle that. Keep working in. All right, now we'll get some air again. That's got it. Okay, I saw the little puff of air or actual brake clean come up. It's got good full pressure now. I can feel it. All right, so now we're fully cleaned out. All right, so now we got the plug or the clog freed up. So yeah, nice little bit of mechanics wire. Just take a little time, work it back and forth, use some compressed air, get it flowing. Okay, now we're looking good there. I'm gonna put a little bit of this WD-40 in there. This is like the old man can. Okay, so now just wanna make sure our O-ring is free of all this chalky buildup. If you're doing this, you know what I mean. Take a little bit of a small, like maybe baby wire brush, nothing too abrasive because you don't want to scratch or damage the O-ring. So you just want to get that powder off of there. A little bit of WD-40 would do good here. Oil might make this O-ring swell, so you don't want to do that. Petroleum in there. Even a little bit of like maybe just the silicone gel. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's give that a little shot. Keep that rejuvenated. Okay, put that down in there. You're just going to line your 4 little tabs up. Make sure that that sits in there nice. Okay, and then we're just going to reinstall our tab. That goes in. Make sure it's sitting in there good. You can wiggle it a little bit to help seat the O-ring. Our little spring washer. Oh, sorry, I'm getting old. I'm going to get a little lube on that. Okay. And now our little cover plate here. I'm going to put that down on there. Make sure before you send it home that everything is moving nice. Get our screws. So I'm going to hold this down. Get the other one over here. Set it. Okay. All right, snug. Check your operation. Nice and smooth. We're good. All right, we're going to leave that off. And I'm going to get a paper towel. We're going to clean out that inside of that gas tank before we throw fresh fuel in there. Our little choke lever goes back on. It's working all right. Okay. So let me grab some paper towels, get that all cleaned up. And then we can go grab some fuel and pour a little bit in. See if this thing's going to crank up. Ugh. Now in our case, we could have gone and pulled the tank. You know, really, since it's already damaged anyway, pulled the tank. Not really worried about cleaning it out. Ordered a new one because this one, like I said, it's got a pretty good battle wound on the side of it. And then, you know, just put a fresh new tank on it. Save us the aggravation of cleaning out anything in this one. And that way, you know, you would have a good starting, clean fuel system. But since we're just still in the areas of seeing how well this thing's going to run, and like I said, we don't know because this is only half the equation. We still have the whole pump part of it to worry about. We don't know if the plungers are good or if they're frozen, if they're all gunked up with crap, you know, so we still have to do that. I'm just pulling this out. Take your time when you pull the thing out. You don't want to clog up the filter that's down in the bottom of the tank. So just take your time, pull this out. Well, you can burn this stuff, you know what I mean? Put it in your fire pit. Okay, so we still got a little bit of stuff down in there. Like I said, you don't have to go super crazy with cleaning this out. This tank is in, you know, good shape in the inside. Just a little bit of moisture and water and stuff, so we're just trying to get a little bit of that out. And then, you know, we'll put good clean fuel in here. And then basically a little bit of old gas will be mixed with the fresh stuff. And then it'll run itself, you know, it'll clean itself out. All right. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to be right back. I got to go grab our fuel, fresh fuel, and then we'll pour some gas into this thing, and fingers crossed it'll crank up. We'll see how it runs for a little bit. I can't run it too long because we don't have any water. and then we'll see about the pump, and then we'll have to try to hook up some water and see what happens. So hang with me here, and we'll be right back. I'll get us back going here in a second. Okay, so looking at this already, I'll spin you guys around. I hooked the water up. I haven't started it yet, but I guess our ideal conditions aren't ideal. What it's looking like is we either have a crack in the pump, so that's not really that good. But this is why you kind of do a little preliminary testing before you go all gung-ho. And like I said, you make this thing all shined up for no good reason. But I'm going to take you down here and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. All right. Sorry. All right, so you see the dripping? So we got a leak in between the packing. So something's not happy in there. The leak, let's see, right over here. Sorry, hang on a minute. That's why this camera sometimes just, so we got a little leak at the fitting that could just be an O-ring. But the other leak that we're more concerned about is right there. Now this is only going to get worse as we crank it up and put pressure on it. So I'm going to get it set up, and then you guys will see what I'm talking about. All right, I've pretty much purged out all the air. So let's see if we can't get this thing to go again. Fuel's on, choke's on, ignition's on. We got it a little bit of past half. All right, we stalled out there, but ran pretty good. Our leak is still sort of okay. It's still dripping. Let's see if we can't fire it back up again. Have to re-choke it. Okay, guys, so got a little bit of a mouse nest under here, so I was just trying to clean all that out. Shut our fuel off. All right, so I'm just going to shut the water off for now. So we do have a runner. There is a couple little seal leak areas, and then that's pretty much going to tell us that, you know, either we have a small crack or a bad O-ring. You know, the thing is 2002, so once we figure out if the owner wants to go ahead and throw a couple bucks at this thing, we'll continue to dive in and basically reseal that pump where the plungers all are, get that resealed, and then basically that should solve our leaks. Our leaks where our connection points are for our pressure hose, basically. That's more or less the O-rings. That's super simple, super easy. That just happens from the wear and tear over time of going in and out with the quip coupler. Or we might just, you know, let this thing ride, sell it for a super cheap price. Like I said, the motor seems to run super good now. There's no smoking, so at minimum we'll change the oil in the engine, maybe throw a spark plug in it, and then I'll let him decide on the tank if he really wants to swap that or not. If it was mine, probably would. You know what I mean? This is a good power washer. You know, there's always that thing where, okay, it's almost a 4,000 PSI power washer. You don't need to power wash at that maximum capacity all the time. That's why you can dial it down with the throttle. So having the capabilities to power wash certain things, you know, I'm not saying your car or the vinyl siding on your house. Sometimes with certain tips, you're going to do more damage than you are going to do cleaning it, but you have the capability. Sometimes you run a scrubber, you know, one of them power washing scrubber wands. Sometimes they need a lot of PSI. You can always, you know, go to that certain max range if you need it, but you can always dial it down. So that's just, you know, a thing. You know what I mean? I don't know, a lot of people say, oh God, it's 4,000 PSI, I don't need that much PSI. Well, you don't really need to utilize the machine at that maximum rating. You can dial it back, you know what I mean? So our wand seemed to function good. The stops, the flow of water, the nozzle, or the handle, the metal part, it's a little rusty, but you know, you could clean that up maybe with a little, you know, wire brush, and then maybe a little can of paint. But function, it's all there. The hose, could probably use a new hose soon. It's starting to get a little cracked and stuff in certain areas. So you definitely want to make sure that you get a hose rated for your PSI. You don't want to underrate your hose because it could potentially blow out, and then that cause, you know, injury to you or, you know, something else. So make sure you get a hose rated for at least a little bit, like a quarter more than the actual power washer can put out. Excuse me, sorry. But overall, this one wasn't too bad. We're gonna keep going with the next one. I'm just gonna pick it right back up. And that one should be probably a little bit easier. I'm thinking that one's just gonna be, you know, carburetor, just need a little quick clean like this one did. We'll do the same thing, oil change, spark plug, all that stuff. We're gonna build like these little lists of certain things, so that way we'll just go to the parts store one time, we'll get everything we need, and then boom, we'll come back at it and knock it out. So I hope you guys appreciate this first successful, I wanna say, power washer rebuild, sort of refresh, not really a rebuild, but a refresh, I wanna say. And then we'll keep moving on to the next one. So hopefully we have all the same amount of luck. I appreciate you guys watching. So stay tuned and we'll keep these videos coming out. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, we're back here now. This is the second project of this will it run / rebuild, refresh, whatever you want to call it, series of just getting all these units back up and going, seeing what we have, making a parts list. Some are going to be easier than others. Like I said in the first one, we got an engine swap, so that'll be a nice one I can just do inside where it's warm. But right now, I got the next one on the chopping block here. I'm going to spin you around. I'll show you what we got. Sorry, Alrighty, so this is the little guy right there. This one is a nice little clean unit. It doesn't have much decaling showing you like what its PSI rating is, you know, right off the bat. So, I mean, there's another picture of that cat pump. There's the model. So if you had to, you know, YouTube that or look that up on the web, you could probably find out what the max PSI rating is. Another good little Honda commercial series engine. So let's just get into it and basically see what we can find out on this one. Like I said before, it's probably going to need, you know, oil change at minimum. I'll pull the plug. We'll see what that condition looks like. We'll just, you know, if it needs a plug, we'll pop a plug in it. And probably another carburetor, you know, a little gummed up. I'll keep you guys posted as we go along, so just stay tuned with me. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna check the oil. I haven't done any preliminary checking besides the walk around video with you guys. All right, so oil looks a little dark and it looks low, so we'll definitely need to do an oil change. I'm gonna put this cap back on. Our pump oil looks perfect at the level, but just dirty, like I said before. All right, let's take our air cleaner off, take a peek in the gas tank. All right, so the gas doesn't look terrible. It's a little low. I'm not going to pour anything in it just yet because I want to pop the carburetor off and I don't want to have the fuel, you know, kind of just willy-nilly coming out. So let's take this off. All right, so this is not looking good. All right, so air filter, a little aged, got a little moisture up here, a little bit of dirt. So as I'm doing these, I'm just going to basically keep a little tally, a little list, start time, end time, parts basically needed, and then we'll just keep going, you know what I mean? So, all right, our throttle is good. It's not sticking. Let me pop this off, take a quick look at the plug, get a socket. Alrighty. When I get the plug out, I'll jot down the part number so we have it for when we go to replace it. All right, so yeah, plug isn't bad. Doesn't look, you know, super crusty. Maybe a close up on that, you know what I mean? So it's just a little oil, maybe a little extra fuel, fouled, but nothing too crazy. I'll get you in closer so you guys get a better shot of this thing. All right, there we go. So we're gonna just a normal BPR6ES. That's our basically our plug there. So let me write that down, and then we'll pop that baby back in. Let's pop our plug back in. Like I said before, I don't know the last time this thing ran. Most of the time this stuff does run well, and then it's just lack of use that puts it in the grave, really. You know what I mean? You used it, and then all winter goes by, and the time takes its toll on it. Fuel gets a little stale, moisture in there. The mouse will make a nest. Sometimes they chew on something. The worst is you let someone borrow it and they do all kinds of stuff to it, and then they bring it back to you and said, oh yeah, it ran great, you know what I mean? Oh, thanks man, appreciate it. And then you never check to see if it ran, you know, when you get it back, because you just store it back in your garage or your shed. And then springtime, summertime comes around, fall, you go to break it out and use it again. I find that it's pretty much got no gas in it, that old famous saying. And either the thing's running and surging, the pump ain't making any water pressure because he ran it too long without water, burned up the plungers. I mean, the list goes on and on, but yeah, it can get frustrating, you know what I mean? So basically we're just doing a little diagnostic stuff here. All right, so on this right here, this is kind of like a crankcase ventilation tube. Our tube is all split here, so we're leaking out some oil and stuff, vapors, nothing like heavy oil. Our carburetor Looks like it's a little gummed up, so we're gonna pop this baby off. Yeah, this fuel valve is super tight. Like the other one, we had all kinds of buildup in there, so we're gonna pop that baby off and see what we got going on in here. All right, put that in there, so we don't lose all our stuff. I'll pop this little screw back in here. Alrighty. Get the pliers so we can pop that up out of there. Okay. Fuel line's looking pretty petrified, so this thing's definitely seen its better days. Oh yeah, everything's nice and tight and frozen. So we might need to do a fuel line. I'm gonna get my air wand out and just kind of blow a lot of this heavy dirt off. Okay, let's work this fuel line up. All right, good. That's not leaking anything. We can pop our choke lever off, pop that in there. And now we can, whoops, got your gasket here for your intake. That can be cleaned up. Got our throttle spring, we don't want to damage that. And there's the phone. Someone's calling. So hang on a minute. So now, got the carburetor off. This thing's definitely looking like it needs a good cleaning. So I'm gonna pause the video. I'll open it up and I'll bring you back. All right guys, welcome back. It's been a few days. There were some things going on, New Year's, Christmas, all that good stuff. So I'm back. The weather's sort of cooperative. It's cold. Where we left off, we were gonna work on the carburetor part of the Honda power washer. I also was waiting for a couple of parts to come in, so I didn't want to, hold up the video, just because, I was just trying to make, mindless video content basically. So I have the parts now. I did get all OEM stuff. I know my buddy, he likes all OEM stuff, so we got the OEM spark plug, the air filter, the cat pump oil specifically for the pump portion of the power washer. So this one, we have the carburetor. This one's more or less, it's just probably gunked up inside. So I'm not gonna be working in the garage with this just because of the fumes and all the vapors. So I want to be outside. That's why we're bundled up a little bit. So I'm just going to zoom you down onto this, and we'll just kind of clean this thing up a little bit, and then get it ready to go back on the motor. And then we'll continue with doing like the oil change, swapping out that air filter, the spark plug, and then we'll work on the pump oil. And I also got another hose. I think it's like a bypass hose on the pump itself. If it over pressurizes, it unloads, or maybe it's an over temp. I'm not really sure exactly what the little hose is for, but we got some new silicone rubber hose for that. So we're gonna swap that out, make that nice and fresh. So let's just get back to it and get this one hopefully done. So I'm gonna zoom you down here and you can just watch me kind of just tinker on this a little bit. We're gonna get it cleaned up. Alrighty. I like to start with the the bowl. I have an ultrasonic cleaner as well. So if this thing is really bad, I mean, I could see it's already, oh yeah, it's super crusty in here. Oh man. That's not looking too hot. It's got a lot of little fragments of just old dried up gas coming out of it. Here's the inside of the bowl. That's what that looks like. This one might be, oh God. This one might be done for. Ugh. Let me see. Excuse the noise in the background. Oh, that's my air compressor. Oh yeah, this poor thing. She's definitely seen better days. Oh yeah, even this throttle shaft is all tight. This thing is really hard to move, and that's supposed to be like, or I'm sorry, this is the choke, but this is definitely still really tight. This is our throttle, so that's working good. But yeah, there's all kinds of junk in there. I don't know if if the camera's really gonna pick it up, but down inside that main hole there is our main entry point for the fuel, and she is not looking good. So I think what we're gonna start with is firing up the ultrasonic cleaner, getting some nice Dawn dish soap, and letting that baby do its thing to hopefully clean this thing up a little bit. Normally this isn't worth it to, you know, when it's gone this far, or the carburetors are you know, been crudded up for years and years and years, and so long that you don't even remember how long it's been, and you have that kind of stuff. Can it be saved? Yes, but if you're doing this as a business, time is money, and this is just a time burner. So basically money lost for you with no real true 100% guarantee that this thing's going to be like performing like a new carburetor. There's areas that we can clean in here, but there's also areas in here that you just can't really get to. As much as you take this apart, there's little passageways and stuff like that in here that you just have to really, you know, go through everything with a fine like tooth comb basically, and just get it cleaned out. And all the cleaners that you use and the air pressure to kind of blow it out still might not get it. You know what I mean? There's just areas that just like to turn to powder and just clog up. So it becomes more of a frustrating nightmare. The other thing I was saying is a lot of these O-rings, a lot of times, they've gotten brittle. The gasoline and the ethanol and the fuel has kind of made them just hard. So they'll end up leaking on you. So that's another, you know, thing that will just be a pain in the ass to, you know, kind of deal with. If you leave it in your shed and you open up your shed and you're like, man, it stinks like gas in here. Well, you'll find that either your carburetor bowl was leaking, you forgot to shut the fuel valve off. So I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to basically get my ultrasonic cleaner fired up. We're going to throw this in there and then let that thing do its thing for about 30 minutes. And then I'll get us on something else. Like we can do the oil change, we can do the spark plug, we can do the pump oil, all that while this thing's in the cooker kind of getting cleaned up. And then we'll see. If not, if it doesn't work out, the guy that owns this thing, he has a brandy new carburetor that's in brand new shape, obviously. So we'll see if we can reach out to him and maybe get that from him so we can pop that on if this doesn't clean up as good as I hope it does. So let's get back into the garage and get warmed up. I'll get the ultrasonic cleaner going and we'll get set up for doing the all the other stuff. So sorry I wasn't out here too long. Hang on a minute. Damn air compressor leaks more than it friggin' works. Anyway, sorry we weren't out here too long to show you a full in-depth cleaning and just getting this done, but we got other stuff to do, so hang with me. I'll get us set back up in the garage where it's warmer and we'll continue on. All right, so we're back in the garage. I'm gonna just bag up that carburetor. I'm not even gonna waste the time to try to clean it. Like I said, it could be done. You could go with one of them Alibaba ones on Amazon or one of those other places, you know, that sell these carburetors just ready to go. I mean, it's 13, 14, maybe 16 bucks. So at your normal hourly, you know, rate of pay, you could buy like probably 8 of those things, you know what I mean, for the cost of 1 hour's worth of labor to go through it and clean it. So I'm just going to catch up with him, and then basically we'll grab that new carburetor from him, pop it on. It'll just be a much better overall finished like rebuild and refresh of this power washer. So I'm going to just show you the quick little things we got. We were waiting on the you know, the parts to come in. So let me spin you around here. So there's the cat pump oil I was talking about. That's for the main pump. I got a nice OEM Honda spark plug for them and the Honda air filter. I don't know if you guys can read that part number. Well, it comes with the pre-filter in there, all brandy new. Here's the hose that I was talking about. That hose is going to go here, but I don't know if the size is right. Sorry, I'm trying to get the camera to zoom down. So that hose right there is the one we want to change out. This one's kind of just hard and seen the light of sun too many times. So there's our pump oil. We're going to open this cap up. There's a drain on the bottom. We're also going to do the oil. So I'll get you guys set up and then we'll just get back to it. All right, guys, so we're back here now. This is the hose I got. I thought it was the right diameter. It might be on the outside, but I don't know if it's truly the right diameter on the inside. It's no big deal. I mean, we can go get some. I'm going to zoom you down here so you can get a little better shot of what we're working on. So this is the little hose here. I want to just... let me see. Okay. Pop that off. Whew. Gotta say that one's been on there for a minute. It's got those barbs on there, so it makes it super hard to get off. All right. So yeah, looking at this, our whole diameter is it's not gonna match. No big deal. We can get another little piece of hose. It's a simple little 2 hose clamp connection and a little bit of hose here, probably about a foot, if I had to take a guess. Try to work this off at the end here. All right. See if I can't get a bigger screwdriver to help work this baby off of there. And there's the phone. Always somebody trying to bother you while you're trying to work. We're not going to answer that. All right. There we go. It's coming now. Okay. So yeah, this is our hose. You can see the sun's taking a whooping on it. So we'll just get one that's that diameter and that same length, and then we'll just swap it out. So for now, put that over here for our parts to be acquired pile. I got my little drain pan. We're going to drain this pump oil. Let me get under here and get onto this. Let me zoom you up a little bit. Sorry. Okay. So, pump oil, I'm sure if you had your owner's manual, you know, it would tell you how often to change this. There's no hour meter on these machines.
you know, you can make it basically as like an annual service when you do your oil change and maybe your spark plug and your air filter, depending on the conditions that you're running this thing in. If you have a unit that's running a lot, you know, maybe you're in the southern like area of a region of the United States or wherever, where you get a lot more warmer climates, you might be utilizing your power washers more, or you have a business where you're actually power washing, you know, everything for cleaning, and you're getting a lot more use. You'll probably do them more regularly. But if you're just a normal homeowner, typically like probably 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months out of the year that you're actually going to be able to use this unit without water potentially freezing. You know, once a year is probably good, twice a year. I mean, if you're really heavily using it, the oil is probably the more important thing. This thing, if I had to take a guess, I'm just going to gamble on this. It's probably the first time it's ever been changed in its entire life. So we're going to take a look at the oil together. There's a little bit of oil in this pan, but it's just a smidge in the corner. So let's get this draining, see what this is looking like. Loosened this up earlier. You know, most of this stuff's going to have water and moisture, right? So you don't want that inside your pump. You don't want these things getting exposed to rust or anything like that. Alrighty. The fluid's pretty chocolatey. It's definitely a good thing that we replaced it. There's a little bit of like metal fragments in it, but it's probably, you know, typical. You know what I mean? Nothing too heavily chunky coming out of there, like metal particles or whatever. I'll let that drain there. I'm gonna get a rag so we can clean our cap up. Set that there. Oh, here's our rag. Okay. Make sure if you wipe this area, you wipe away from the hole. You don't want anything falling down in there. Just gonna tilt this up a little bit. Yeah, so let me tilt this up a little bit. Clean this vent cap off for a second. I just noticed under here, it's underneath our vent cap. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see the O-ring. See how it's starting to get all brittle and breaking off? And then it kind of gets better there, so I'm going to replace that O-ring. I have some new O-rings. This is a metric kit. I have standard as well, but it's not super critical that the sizing be 100%, but we get it very good and close. So you guys can really see that now. How brittle that thing is. I'm just going to match it up with the next closest one. I think I got one right here. That looks like a winner to me. So pop that baby on there. It's these little things. If you're going to do a little mini restoration or like a full, you know, 100%, let's get this thing redone, check everything over, and make it like a new used unit, then it's these little things that are going to help you. You know what I mean? That O-ring, you know, being bad could potentially cause some oil seepage coming out of the top, so you don't want that. Let me see on the bottom. I feel there's another O-ring under here, so we'll take a look at that one. This one might be okay because it's more like lubricated with oil. Yeah, this one's looking perfect. It's still got good flexibility, so we're good there. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit, and we'll put that on the bottom end. But then again, if that O-ring was any signs of brittleness or breaking, just replace it. You know, it's 5 cents, and it'll help, you know, protect your pump from accidentally leaking out of oil and then running it dry, and then you're going to burn up a pump. So that wouldn't be good. All right, so that's good. Okay, so we want to tilt this up a little bit, get the last little bit of oil out of there, and then move on to the engine oil. I don't want to spill anything, so let's just crank this up a little bit. I got some more oil coming out. Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit of a pull. And then we'll puddle it up one more time. Okay, that looks good. We'll put our plug back in on the bottom. Yeah, that's pretty much a non-dripping paste. Got a little drip there. Let's clean that up. Okay, put our plug back in. Always do these by hand, they're plastic, you don't want to cross thread that. Okay, let's give that a snug up. Plenty. Okay, so when we fill this back up, it's just basically going to go to the middle of the sight glass. That's all you need, half. So I'm going to grab the oil, we'll top that off, and then we'll move to the engine. All right. Old. This is our recommended cat pump oil. So this did not come with a nice little nozzle fill, which is okay. You could probably, just use a baby funnel or just pour this in. Sometimes they're just better to control with a nozzle. If you ever get a couple of these, just save them, clean them up, put them on your shelf, and then when you need them, you'll have it. So yeah, I want to show you this fluid. If you guys, let me see, I want to show it to you. I don't want to. Okay. So the fluid going in is a nice light green fluid. What came out was a dark brown fluid. So we know that this pump was definitely needed to have a fluid change. I'm just letting it go in nice and easy. I'm watching the fluid come up on the sight glass here on the side. I bought one of these bottles. I did not buy two. We have the other power washer that we're going to get to, and we're going to service that pump as well. I don't know if we're going to have enough to do that pump. I'm going to let that catch up. All right, so we are about half, 300 milliliters on this, and it's a 600 milliliter container. I'm going to turn this over a couple of times. I want to get that fluid worked into the pump. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a drain. And what else I'm going to do, what I got is here. Let me back you back out. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pop that spark plug out. Just to make it easier to turn it over. And we have a new one, so we're going to swap it out. Alright, that's the old one. Pop that up over here. So I want to circulate this pump, get that oil. Just moving around in there. Okay, and now, let's take this away for a minute. I want to bring this back down to the middle of the sight glass. I want to have it overfull, which is okay because this will help flush out any more caca oil that might be in there. So I'm just going to hold this here and just watch it as we drain off a little bit. And right about there, looks good. Okay. Put that to the side. I'm going to clean up the underside here. Okay, snug this up. Nice. I'll just top this off just a little bit more. Let it come up. Looks good. I'll give it just a splash more. I think we're golden. All right, let's put a cap back on that so we don't spill that. Okay. And with that, the cat pump part is done. Snug that up. We got our new O-ring. Okay, that's good. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the engine oil. All right, I like to take a look to see what's the best way to drain this. And I always just like to, oh, almost spilled it. I like to just kind of get it to where the oil is going to go right into the pan. Sometimes that's easier said than done. So let's just do it. All right, let's see here. Could probably take the oil wheel off. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I don't have a good feeling about this. Let me drain my pan real quick first. Ooh, I smell the gas. All right, let's put this lid back on before it stinks the place out. Which it already has. All right. Let me see. I guess we're gonna have to pull the wheel. It is what it is, right? Let's make it easier here for us. Okay. All right, slide our wheel off. And now we can actually just tip this thing up. And we'll just drain it out. All right. So that's our oil. Not bad, a little brown. It's definitely been in there for a minute. You can kind of see the shimmer of it. So no heavy aluminum particles in there, so that's good. Put our tire back on. Okay. You know, I'm going to leave the tire off for a minute because I want to do something else here. I'll bring you around to the other side so you can see better. Alrighty, so we're going to do a little bit of work on this wiring. I don't like it, the connector's exposed. I just want to electrical tape this up, get it a little neater. I think there used to be a little small wire grommet holder that went into that little hole, but nevertheless, I mean, we can just kind of tape this up, make it a little bit nicer looking. These are your low oil level cutoff sensor. So if the engine oil got low enough, it would stop the spark and cut the engine so you wouldn't burn up your motor. And then the other one is your on and off switch for starting and shutting it off. So let me grab some electrical tape, we'll get this cleaned up, neatened up, then we'll pop the tire back on and refill our oil level. So hang with me. Alrighty. Let me undo this one first. Stick that out of the way, get this snugged up. I just want to keep this from corroding anymore, getting exposed to any kind of chemical cleaners or anything like that that could potentially degrade the aluminum that this connector is made of. Okay, make this nice and tight. Okay, now I can plug that back in, make sure the rubber's covering, and this is going to go over this, just like that. Okay, now I think what I'll do is I'll just throw a little baby zip tie right around that and make that stay nice and neat so it doesn't make contact with the wheel. You know, if this wheel is spinning and there's wires rubbing against the wheel, you're going to potentially, you know, chafe the wire and then cause yourself another issue that you maybe wouldn't notice, you know, right away when you're saying to yourself, why the hell is this thing not running? Or, you know, it starts, but then after a little bit of like vibration, it kind of cuts off. So just doing a little TLC to get that nice and tidy will help keep us from having another problem. All right, just gonna move you back here a little bit. Oops. All right. Okay, cinch that in nice, and just like that. Okay, now we can put our tire back on. Scoot our old wheel out of the way so we don't spill that. Let's pop this baby back on. Okay. Got a flat washer that goes on, and then we have our little cone that helps lock it on. This you can just tap on. Let me get the right tool. Sorry, you guys were in the way. All right, little hammer here, soft blow. Mint. Okay. While I was also ordering a whole bunch of parts and was waiting for that to come in, I got this nice little, it's called a fluid pump. So basically it's just if you have one of these jugs or gallon container, 2 gallon, one of these 5 quart, ones that's a bigger size. It just helps you, because you're trying to like pour this big old bottle in there and it's more of a mess and you're wasting oil. So this little guy has a couple of different adapters. It wasn't expensive, it was Amazon, but it's basically just a primer pump, type thing. And it has a couple different lid adapters for fitting on certain containers. Sorry, I can't see that. So this one's going to fit on this one. And then you have a bunch of just different length straws here for getting the oil out. So let's get this one set up and get this oil topped off, and we'll be finished with the oil change. So this unthreads out of there, and then your lid comes off, and you put on the correct lid that fits, and then rethread that in. And I think we're going to use probably the longest one possible for our draw straw. Just get this in there, okay. And this is going to be slippery as hell once you get it all oiled up, but let's see, is that going to work for us? It might be a little too long. Let me change the length of the straw to the medium one. Yeah, this will work better. That's better. Okay. Open up our oil container here. Move you guys back a little bit so you can see a little bit better. And then trying to make this hose a little bit more user friendly. Alright, so that threaded on just like that. Hopefully it stays. This tubing is very stiff from just being in the cold, so we'll just pump her up. I'm just using the 10W30 oil. Here we go. Here comes the oil. And this just works super nice because, you could use a funnel, but, it's just sometimes there's a nice, easy, cheap tool to use to help save you aggravation, because when you use a funnel, you kind of block the hole, so you can't see how much is actually coming up, and these things don't take much oil as it is, so you end up spilling it out all over the place. So with this, you have a lot more control, and you can actually see inside the opening where the oil is actually being pumped into. All right. I'm going to give this a little rotation. Okay. I'll put our rag underneath here to catch any of the drippings that we might get. And we'll keep going. That looks pretty good to me. Set this up so it can drain back. Clean off our dipstick here. Maybe one more pump. Yep, we're full. Okay. Ooh, spillage. As much as you try to not make a mess, it always ends up seeming to never fail. Okay. Put our thing back in here. Okay. Clean this up. That's draining back. Oh, goodness. All right, we'll put this out of our way. Clean up our mess. Okay. Alrighty. A little oil. That's petroleum back to the rubber. Okay. Alright, so now what we're going to focus on is the spark plug. Spin this thing around. Come around to the other side. I'm going to pop in the nice Honda OEM spark plug for this. Let me just double check the numbers here. So looking at this, BPR6ES, that's the new one. BPR6ES is the old one. So yes, 100% match numbers. Let's put our fresh new plug in there. Just not enough. Okay. Grab some Seal Glide for our plug. This is one of the things I watches a YouTube channel called Watch Wes Work. He's a really good guy, and he used this stuff, and he kind of sold me on it. So when I saw he did use it, I ended up buying some. Okay, so just a little bit of a recap here. Let's back us out. We did the oil on the actual power washer pump part of it. That was definitely needed. We got that changed. Found an O-ring that was bad, swapped that out. When we went to go pull our carburetor apart, we found that was kind of just a disaster, right? So I'm going to just probably try to meet up with my buddy there, get the one he has that's new. We'll slap that on. This whole thing will be purring again. We just put a new spark plug in. I have the brand new air filter, but we have to put the carburetor on before we can put the carburetor's air intake housing on. So we will get that. We did find that our, what is it? Our power washer supply hose. Where is that thing? Here it is. Okay. Our supply hose has seen better days. So I'm going to get a new one of these at the hardware store. And at the same time, I'll pull this out. We're going to get a new one of these air crankcase breather tubes. As you can see, that end there, it's got a split in it. So we'll just get a nice little small rubber hose that matches that diameter as well, so we can replace that and make that fresh. Tire-wise, everything's good there. We did drain the fuel tank, so we're going to throw some fresh fuel into that when we get ready to put the carburetor back on. And then we'll put a little bit of stay build in there, because this thing's probably going to sit again for a few months before it's actually either sold or used again. So we don't want all this hard work to go right back to where we were at, right? So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back to this one. So I have the other unit that we basically have that we're going to do the motor swap on, so that's going to be the next one that we're going to do here. We have the fresh engine right here behind me in this box, so we're going to swap that motor over, and we're going to hopefully make that one a full potential runner, problem-free. So for now, I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to get all this kind of cleaned up, organized, and then we'll put this one back out to the pasture for a little bit and wait for the parts to come, and then we'll basically grab the other one and keep going. So it's only going to be a minute here. Let me get this done, and then we'll be back in the recording studio to keep going. So hang with me, guys. I appreciate you guys all watching. Some of this might be boring to you. I'm sorry. Just trying to make some content for you, and I'll speed it up, in the editing. I'll try to get this so it's not just a dreaded, waiting in detention type of feeling. So let me get this done, and then I'll be right back. So you guys hang tight. All right, guys, we're back. This is, I think, the third item that we're working on. This unit right here is a rigid power washer, 3,300 PSI. The owner of this one said that this engine just kind of was running great, and then it kind of just sputtered out and wouldn't start again. Believe it or not, this little engine was running an electronic fuel injector. So a little, I guess new for its age. So the owner told me that he basically pulled that off. He just put a standard old carburetor on there, and then was running it, and I think it did the same thing. It kind of conked out after a little bit. So he was kind of frustrated, done with it for that day, stuck it in this greenhouse, and pretty much it hasn't been run since. So this is a Subaru engine. It's called a EX21 FI. I don't know much about them. Subaru, I know they make car engines and stuff like that. But as far as these little small engines, I don't know what the reliability is. I never messed with one with an electronic fuel injection, so I'm not sure how that whole thing worked. But anyway, long story short, we're going to pull this motor off, and we have a brandy new fresh Honda engine to go in its place. I'm going to get this pulled out in a little bit, but once we do a little tear down of this, get this pump off of the engine, and then we'll get it up mounted. Hopefully everything lines up, bolt holes and everything like that, to make it a simple swap. I'm hoping we don't have any clearance issues with gas tank placement and stuff like that, so we'll just see how it goes, and I'll keep you posted as we go along. So I might throw this one in as a sped up time lapse, just because it's going to be a little bit of a lengthy one, and I don't want to drag the whole video out. So I'll just probably put some music on like I've done in previous videos and just speed that up. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. This one's going to be a good one, I think. You know what I mean? I like this. This is not bad. So the pump on this particular one, the pressure pump portion,
is another one of these cat pumps, just like we did on the last one. We drained the oil, placed an O-ring at the top. The lower O-ring was okay. So we're going to do the same thing with this pump as well. We're going to drain the oil, check the O-rings, and fill it up with some fresh cat pump oil. And then we'll fire it up. Now, just real quick before I pull this engine off, I did actually get this one to crank up. It started, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to start it now, but it did start. So I didn't run it long, but it actually did start. So it might have some potential. The owner of this power washer said he's going to give me this engine, so I'll hang on to it. Once I get you know, something for it, maybe I can put it on something. I don't know. If not, I might just, you know, keep it stowed for a while until something comes around. So anyway, enough rambling. I'm going to set us up on a time lapse. If there's anything that I find interesting, I'll slow it down and I'll explain, and then we'll basically we'll keep it going. That way it's, you know, not like that long, just boring video of me sitting here working. So, all right, let's get to it. You guys enjoy. All righty, not yet. So. That's going to be our adapter plate. Hopefully that's going to work with the Honda. Looking at the other one that we just had in here in the shop, that Honda that was already on this same kind of cat pump, had the same kind of adapter. So I think we're going to be all right. But fingers crossed, I want to count my blessings before they hatch there, or before they come true. So let's get this motor unbolted and get ready to put on the Honda. All right, so that's 1/2 inch.
1/2 inch, okay? The best thing about just removing that pump off of here, someone put never sees on the shaft. A lot of times that's not the case. And you're going to be beating that thing off. You're going to be trying to pry against it. It's all aluminum. You're going to gall it all up. It ain't going to be good. So if you're trying to save yourself, your future self, some aggravation, maybe in the future, if you do buy a power washer and a new power washer, take that pump off and slather on some never sees or any kind of grease that's going to help keep that shaft from seizing up to the actual pump. Because more than likely, the motor's going to outlast the pump. Just the nature of the beast, you know what I mean? So you doing that's going to help save you some aggravation down the road. Spin this baby around. This looks like it's got studs on it, so I'm not sure about that, but let's see. Once we get it pulled apart. I'm going to take these nuts off the top of here. All right, so let's see if we can get this motor up off of here, and then we'll unbox the new one and see how the placement sits on this frame. Take it back here just a little bit, get a better angle. Okay. All right, that came off pretty easy. I'll set this aside. Okay. Wheel this out of the way. Let's unbox our new Honda motor. Now, the guy had this motor for a while now, so as long as our crankshafts and everything are the same diameter, we're going to be good. This box did label GX160 with a 3/4 crank, so hopefully everything's going to fit just right. I even included some Amsoil oil. Okay, well, we'll do that. Oh boy, woo! Look at that thing. Get this box out of our way. Let me show you what we're working with. All right. This is what you want to see. Real nice GX160. Everything's all nice and fresh and new. I think our cranks look the same. The only thing we got to do is transfer that keyway, that little key, over to the shaft on here. Minty fresh. Never had any fuel put in it. So let's take the cap off. Oh yeah, nice and clean down in there. So I think that's a good win here for us. Let me see if we can get it mounted up on those studs, and then fingers crossed everything will still fit. We can put some never sees on the shaft, move our keyway, and get this thing bolted up. Moving quicker than I thought, huh? Okay. So we need the thing to go that way. Looking at this compared to the other one, muffler's here. That's where the old one was. Gas tank was in the back, so that's good. Air cleaner was over here. All our controls were right there. Everything full core orientation was all the same. So let's get this off of here. I wonder if this says a date. No, no date. Just want to check this over real quick. Yep, everything's nice and mint. Just give that a snug up. Fuel on, fuel off selector's nice and smooth. Let's put that back on here. Okay. Normally it tells you on here, on the, so yeah, this one's a 2021 engine, so not that old. Okay, let's get it mounted up. Put this in a way where you guys can see it good. Okay. See if this baby will line right up onto these studs. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that. Money. Perfect. Perfect. Couldn't be happier with that. You can probably see the smile on my face. Yeah, that's what we like. That's what we like. All right. So now, the only thing I might might have a little bit of an issue with is this crossbar, well, not crossbar, but this main bracket that goes over here. Reason being, the air cleaner, you need to gain access to this nut here so you can pop the cover off. So that bracket is going to really impede us from lifting this up. So that's the only thing that I see that's kind of like a not 100% win. But that bracket is not like crucial to this thing being secure. What we can do, I don't know, it's going to be tough. If anything, let me look at this bracket. Okay. So if we try to put this back on here, you can see it's going to be a little tight for comfort. You know, I mean, it does fit. The gas tank has plenty of room, but getting this air cleaner back out, not going to be the funnest thing. So if anything, and I'm going to let the owner of this power washer make a modification, because this is the one he's actually going to keep. I think simple solution, you guys can already see it, is maybe just cut this out a little bit, or even go all the way across here and just notch that out, just to basically give yourself some extra room to get that up and out of there. And then that way everything will still be able to be retained. Other than that, there's no issues with accessibility anywhere else except our air filter. So still a win, but just a little bit of cutting and it'll be perfect. So we won't put this on just yet. Let's get this out of here. There we go. Okay. I'm going to bolt up the nuts that I took off from the upper side here. Okay. Same thing on the back side over here. Okay. Spin around here. We got 4 more nuts. Go on the bottom side. Hold those studs in. Just checking the straightness of this. Yeah, we're good. I think we're good. Okay. All right, that one's on there. Okay. Snug these up. Just want to make sure everything's staying straight as we snug these things down. Everything's got to be done with this open end wrench because there's just not the clearance to get a ratchet in there. Okay. Snug. 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 All right, I think what we're gonna do now is add our oil to the engine. Bring it over here a little bit so you can see. Just a smidge of oil on that stick. So. Just looking at this setup, the placement of the drain plug and the fill plug is going to be perfect for doing just regular maintenance oil changes on this thing. I mean, we can tilt this thing back and let the oil pour out after it's nice and hot. Another thing for you guys to remember, new engines, they got to be broken in, right? So you're going to run this thing for a little while. We have the book over here. So just take a jot through that or quick read through this thing, see what it recommends for running at RPMs, breaking it in however many hours. If you want to, set yourself up a timer or get one of those add-on hour meters you can put on your engines here, your small engines, and then, do your oil change. So if you don't want to get involved with all that, probably just run it, half throttle, low throttle, idle for a little while for maybe like 20, 30 minutes, and then basically just change the oil. And then kind of like, again, probably in another, week's worth of work, maybe, whatever that equals up to, change it one more time, and then boom, you're good to go every year after. Throw yourself a sticker on it, say, hey, next oil change due next year, whatever that date may be, and then that way it'll keep your engine going good. There's no filters on these things. It's just basically a little dry sump of just oil splashing around in there, right? So all that aluminum's going to be breaking in, and it's going to just get submerged, so you don't want that ruining the bearings or anything inside here. So let's get some oil pumped into this thing. Using the same setup as we did on the other one. Just give that a chance to come up. Perfect, right to the line. Okay. Let's get this out of our way. Okay, next, now that the oil is full, we can get rid of our reminder tag. No oil in the engine, right? Should be common sense to a lot, but I guess not everybody realizes that when they do start their engine, and kapooey. Like I said in the last one, these have low oil shutdowns. So even if you didn't put any oil in this, more than likely it wouldn't start. So just a little nice thing about the Hondas, that's what they do for you. Not all engines have that, so just be mindful. New motor might, want to just check the oil. So, okay. Next, we're gonna get our bracket or our adapter plate for our pump. I gotta grab the keyway for the crankshaft. We're gonna turn this a little bit so it's upright so we don't lose it. I'm just gonna lightly lubricate the shaft and then basically put some never sees on it. Got our copper never sees. So this engine sitting outside in the greenhouse has a little bit of light rust on the shaft. I'm just going to spray a little bit of WD-40 on there, light little sandpaper just to take off a little flash rusting that's on there. Don't go crazy in this spot, but just enough just to get that little bit of flash rusting off of there. Like I said before, that's all you need. But like I said before, do yourself a favor. Make sure you use never sees here. It's going to thank you in the long run if you ever have to remove the pump. Okay. So, I'm going to spin you around here so you can have good access to that. Okay, we're going to get our adapter plate on here. Now, bolts, threads, all going to be different for each engine. Now, this Honda engine is Japan, so most of the time it's metric thread. So you may need to have, a store run to go grab the right kind of bolt for your application. You don't want to get too long because then you're going to hit the bottom out of the hole and you don't want to break your case. The other side of that is the oil. So, These look like fine thread. I'm going to just try them by hand. They're going right in smooth. Okay, so we got to win there. All right. Not every situation is going to be like that, but you definitely want to check that before going any further. Okay, so put a little bit of wipe that down. Okay. All right. I'm going to go one extra step. I'm going to throw a little bit of thread anti-seize on here. This stuff goes a long way. You don't need a lot. Okay. Just a little bit. That's all you need. Let's get this plate lined up. Get that started. Next one. Okay. Next one. Be careful with this stuff. It's very messy. You touch one thing, you end up seeing it on 1,000 other things. It's crazy. Okay. Plenty. Okay, I'm going to get you guys in a little bit closer here as we're trying to do some detail work. There we go. All right. Just going to tighten up our 4 bolts here for our mounting bracket. I like to do these by hand, even though you take them off with an impact. Everything here is just a cast aluminum, so the impact gun might either strip your threads out. You don't want that. It could put too much pressure on this thing and crack it. So just giving it a good feel for tight, and that's all you need. Okay, that's good. All right, so now we're going to add a little bit of the anti-seize to our shaft. Here you can be a little bit more deliberate with it, a little more heavier. I'll get this to crank over a little bit. Okay, that's plenty. All right. So we'll turn this again, get this to rotate a little bit, get it so that the keyway portion is up. I'm going to grab our keyway from the old engine. There we go. We're going to slide that in. Went right in. Clean our hands. And now, we'll grab our pump and get our pump slid on. We'll turn this a little bit so you get a little better view. So here's our pump. We're going to line the keyway up with the keyway on the actual engine. Now's probably a good time to drain the oil from the pump. All right, I think we're going to do that. Yeah, let's do that. Before we get all gung ho and put it back on here, let's just drain that out. All right. Let me set you guys back here a little bit. Okay. Check our O-ring. O-ring looks good on this one. Not bad. Nope. Actually a better, closer glance here. It's all cracking and dry rotted. So we're going to replace that. Remember, always wipe away from the hole, not into the hole. Okay. So we'll get a new O-ring on here. This O-ring's kind of little. Yeah, it's just, the cuts are so small you can barely see it. I don't think you guys are going to see it on the camera, but we will replace that. I remember the one that we used on the first one, so let's grab another one of them. Okay. Perfect match. Toss that in the pile. Put our new O-ring on. Nice. Beautiful. Okay. I gotta go grab my drain pan, and then we can drain this out. So hang with me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. All right. Let's get this out. I'm gonna grab my gloves. Okay. Same thing here. Fluid's kind of dark, like a chocolate.
but not bad. You know, not a lot of moisture in there. Just gonna grab the O-ring. O-ring's good, nice and pliable. Just trying to angle this in ways to help drain it. Getting all the old oil out as possible. All right, it's pretty good there. Lay that down on its side. Clean out that. Let's put our plug back in. Snug. Okay. That's what our oil looked like. The new fluid's more like a bluish greenish color, so it's definitely a good time to change this. All right, let's get our pump back up here. So, like I said before, we want to line up the keyway to the keyway on the pump, or I'm sorry, the keyway on the actual engine. So let's get this slid around. So what you can do, since our shaft is all never seized up, is we can turn the engine over until it gets pretty close to the same orientation as what's on the pump. So, okay, so we had a little issue here. The keyway wants to slide. So I'm going to kind of hold it there. And I'm sorry, I don't have a better angle for you guys to see this. Okay. Let me check this. I gotta. Okay. I'm just trying to get the keyway lined up. And I got it lined up. It's just basically trying to get it so that way it stays, it doesn't slide. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'll explain to you what I did. So, let me bring you in closer here. All right, so what we did was the keyway was sitting on top of the shaft and when the corresponding keyway slot on the pump wanted to go over top of it, the keyway was getting pushed in towards the engine. So what I ended up doing was, where the crankshaft ended, I pushed the keyway out beyond the crankshaft, and then I was able to get the actual shaft of the corresponding pump over top of the keyway, and then work them both together at the same time, and then that was able to make everything fit. So just a little tip there if it's having the same kind of problem. If you overload that shaft with a lot of never sees, you're going to make that keyway stick up just a couple thousandths, right? Well, that couple thousandths might be the problem of what you having to get that keyway lined up and staying on there. So you just, you know, one of them things you're going to go through, but we got it on there. So let's get it bolted up, and we'll work on our upper bracket. So these bolts didn't have never sees on them, but I'm going to put some on there. Help the next guy, you know, so. Alrighty. And again, just a little bit goes a long way, so get this started. And then another thing I want to do, just to confirm that everything's lined up and good, is I can see down in here, I can see the swash part of the pump that's inside here. So I want to turn the engine over. I want to make sure I see rotation inside the pump. You know, we don't have any confirmation that this pump was good prior to doing this work, but knowing my buddy, he said it did run. It was the engine that was the problem. So if you're buying one of these and you don't know the history on it, that's a different story. So you want to just make sure, you know, the seller could tell you the world, but, you know, I mean, the pump could be totally trashed. That's another good indication. When you change the fluid, you're going to see either heavy chunks of metal coming out, and that's just going to be a key sign to tell you something's not going to be good. You know, these things have potential to freeze, so a lot of people don't winterize the pumps, leave them out in their garages or their storage sheds, and there's no heat out there, and it gets super cold. And then, boom, there goes your pump, you know. Okay. Got a nice little bit of never sees on that. All right, this is the hardest one to get to. Always start these by hand. Good. Good. Okay. Snug. Snug. Go around on the other side. All right, I'm just going to turn this over. I want to make sure that I see the pump moving. And I do. Yep. So that tells me we're good. We're lined up. The keyway's in the right spot. Sorry. Just trying to tighten this one up. All right, snug. Go to the opposite side. Snug. Snug. Last one. Snug. Okay. Let's get our cat pump oil. Top this one off to the level. Just going to pour it in slow here. Watch for it to come up. Coming right up to the perfect level there, right between the dot. Beautiful. Okay. So if you have one of these cat pumps, some are probably bigger than others, smaller. I was able to get 2 services out of 1 bottle. So if you got 1 power washer, most people just have 1, unless you're like you said even before, like a commercial guy where you're doing a lot of, power washing. You might have more than 1. 1 pump, you can get 2 services out of 1 bottle of the replacement fluid. So that's good. That's just a little tip for anybody out there. We're right there, perfect on the level. Clean off our thing, throw our cap back on. That's tight enough by hand. Okay. So, quick recap on everything we've done. We've pulled the old engine off. We've pulled off our old pump. Basically remounted our brand new engine. We've added oil. We've kind of gone over it a little bit. Just checking the air cleaner nut was a little loose on the inside. So got that done. The engine is nice and mounted tight to the engine mounts here. There's these 4 little rubber spacers that help keep the vibration down. Drained our pump. Put fresh oil in here. We never seized the corresponding engine crankshaft to the pump. So if this ever has to come off again, it will come right off. It won't fuse itself together. We did some never seize on our adapter mounting plate bolts, and then we also did never seize on the pump itself mounting bolts. Next is basically our crossover bracket, and then that's pretty much it. So let's do that and get that done. It's too cold to definitely test this today. I will test it though for the guy. I'm going to put a little bit of fuel in here, a tiny bit, and then definitely some stay builds. Like I said, these things are probably not going to run for another couple of months, so I don't want that stale or that fuel going stale again. And we're right back in the same boat. Another frustrated homeowner with a piece of power equipment. So let me get that done, and then we'll just recap this whole video, and then we'll keep going. These longer bolts went in at the top. Okay. These smaller bolts were down at the bottom. This is our soap, I guess, injection tube. That's just going to go there. Get these other two bolts in here. All right. Okay, snug. Let's tighten up our little guy there. Okay, snug. Snug. Okay, nice. Okay. Alrighty. So, fuel's off, throttle's all the way down, full throttle off. Tires are pumped up. So, that's pretty much it, guys. We got it, you know, the old engine off. I'm gonna hang on to that one. I might just fiddle with that later on. I'll put it in a little baggie, and then just keep it somewhat protected. But as far as this, couldn't have gone smoother. Like I said, the only modification, I'm gonna let the homeowner that owns this machine make this modification. If this was mine, I would, you know, and I wanted to do this project, I would do this same thing. I'm thinking that we're just gonna basically, you know, it'd look funny if you just took half of it, so just kind of make it look symmetrical. Just take that part off and then just kind of finish it over. This exhaust is going to get hot, so this is just kind of there to help stop you from touching this. But this also has a heat shield over it, so I think just for making one little modification to make this whole thing work inside the frame, our quick connect is still fine. Our hose connection is still good. The gas tank has plenty of room. The on and off switch on the back, perfect. No issues with that. The pull cord, no problem on that. Plenty of space to do that. So yeah, I think this one was a definite success. I appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully you got a little entertainment out of this. This one was a nice one. I can't knock it. This one definitely worked out good. Mounting holes, just fit, finish, done, boom, bang. All the bolts being able to reused from the old engine to the new engine. I can't say anything bad about it. So I'm going to end this little first part here. Definitely the video has probably gotten plenty long enough, and I want to just make another part 2. Like I said, we still have to grab the carburetor for the last one we were just working on. I want to get those hoses for the I guess it's like a pressure thing, bypass, and then I want to get that little small rubber vent hose for the crankcase back to the air cleaner. So as soon as that comes in, I'll jump back in on part 2 to get that finished up, and then we'll work on the other 2 items that we have, which are those 2 nice walk-behind blowers that we got from the auction. I did get some parts for them as well, new throttle cables, so we'll bring those bad boys in and get those going 100% so we can get them on the marketplace. But for now, I'm going to end this video here, and I appreciate you all watching the Crazy Mayday channel. Stay tuned for part 2. I know this one definitely took a while to come out, but the next one will definitely be quicker, I promise you guys. And if you have any comments, please leave them down below, or any suggestions that maybe you think I could have did different, let me know. And then with that, I just want to say, if you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe and throw me a like if you liked it. So I'll see you guys in the next one.